afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar. So we'll give it a couple of minutes to let people jump in from their previous sessions. This is actually a really popular webinar for us. So the Microsoft latest Teams features. The last one we did of this last year was really popular. We had lots of good feedback. So we thought this year we'd stick another one in, as Teams is changing very quickly at the moment, as we can all probably tell if you're used to using Teams across your organizations. So we'll give it a few minutes and let people jump in. If you haven't joined one of these sessions before, welcome. Thank you for joining, yeah, welcome to our iCoTech webinar events. If you have joined a session previously and you're returning, then welcome back. Thanks for joining. As you can see today, I'm at home, so yeah, not in iCoHub today. Normally, I've got a much better background with the cool office in Cardiff at iCoHub. So yeah, just myself today, taking you through a set of slides to talk about the latest features in Microsoft Teams. So here we go. So we'll just do a bit of an intro, as always. Sorry to those people that have been on before, probably like a broken record now. We'll try and do something different for this in the future. But we'll talk about the latest features then, of course, and then we'll do a little bit of a deep dive into our favorite features across iCoTech, and we'll look at the kind of future development pipeline for Teams as well. This is just a kind of summarization of content that we've collated, and we've kind of been using Teams ourselves, obviously as a Microsoft partner, but there's lots of other stuff going on in Teams. We're just looking at some of the real key features that we use here at iCoTech, and some of the features that we find most exciting for the future, just to see if just to make you aware of them, and obviously hope that you utilize them as well. So a bit of background about myself. So my name is Joel Markham. I'm CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. I started off in Welsh Water as PMO. I went to Lloyd's Banking Group. I did a short stint over there, and then I spent 5 years as the head of in Babcock International Group, and I ended up being the head of projects and governance. So spent most of my career, well, all of my career, in project delivery and technology, and most of it around Microsoft 365 as well. Company sales was our first customer, but now iCoTech today is delivering to all these customers on the page. The guys that have been here before on these events will see that this has changed. Thank you all for updating this. Still lots more to add on here if we could fit them on a page. But effectively, we deliver to Bays, IPO, DEFRA, ONS, Oxfordshire County Council, ACAS, and some other private sector organisations as well, but predominantly a public sector or kind of delivery into a public sector. What we do, we've redefined this, so we've now kind of refocused ourselves at iCoTech into a Power Platform partner. So fundamentally, we deliver Power Platform and everything in and around that. So we build applications using the Power Platform as our core line of business for our customers that I just showed you on the screen there. We do specialize in project portfolio management, so we use kind of Project for the Web and Power BI to deliver PPM solutions. But you know, our kind of core capability is the Power Platform and application development. Just to kind of tie it in with this conversation today, obviously being a Microsoft Core partner, we have to use all of these products on the screen, of which one of them is Teams, and we love Teams. We're always on Teams, and we've got some cool things to show you of the latest features in Teams over the next couple of minutes. Probably and definitely won't take up an hour of me talking, going through slides, I promise. So I'll give you probably 15 to 20 minutes back of your busy days, but let's jump in nonetheless. If anybody's got any questions, please do yeah, just put them in the chat window, and yeah, I can answer any questions that you have. And if I don't know the answer, I'll come back to you, and I'll take it away and come back to you separately. So this one is an interesting one. How many Microsoft Teams features updates are currently in development? It's just one of the things, the fact-finding missions that we do. There's well, a lot. 121 are currently being in development and being tested. So that just shows you there's a lot in that space at the moment. If we look at something like Project for the Web, it's kind of in the 30 to 40 range. So to see 121 updates in development and testing at Microsoft in the kind of business apps collaboration team is quite extensive. It shows you that they're investing in the future, and I have no doubt that Teams will change dramatically in 12 months time from where we are now today. And if we look back at Teams 12 months ago, there's a massive difference to its capability and its offering as well. I always say that Teams is like that shop window. It's kind of where you go similar to a website where you go to navigate to other assets across your estate. So, the idea of tabs and Teams channels and chat, the idea from Microsoft, I believe, is that it's a kind of that single pane view. You come in the morning, you open Teams, and you go into all your applications, all your services, and you spend 80%, 90% of your day in Teams on your computer, rather than having a browser to SharePoint or PowerPoint or Word. You're in Teams as that kind of core shop window, interacting with all the suites and services that sit behind that. Then, so yeah, that's and obviously a lot of development to get to that point. So another question: how many Microsoft Teams features updates are currently being rolled out? So yeah, how many are being rolled out to kind of at the moment in the live environments? There's 47 currently being rolled out. So again, there's a number of these that are going on. Kind of just shows you the level of kind of traction and investment in the Microsoft Teams platform at the moment. All right. Latest features. So the reason for this call. So let's jump into it. So there is the order of raised hands. So this is a new one that's come out recently. So we all know when we can raise a hand on Teams. Sometimes if you do, you're on a call with 20, 30, 40 people, you're going to have a lot of people raising your hand if it's an interactive, collaborative session. So what they've done now is, by able to click on our participants tab, you're able to see the order in which they've raised their hands in a chronological order. So you can you go to Rob before you go to Andy, before you go to Richard, for example. And that's a really good feature for the kind of informing collaboration conversations in a Teams meeting. And the other one as well, it's kind of attached to this, which I like, is to lower the all hands. Not very often you use it, but sometimes I've had people kind of put the my hand up or whatever, and then they walk away. And it's kind of, if you're on a break or a kind of a breakout session in the meeting, you want to kind of turn all the hands down or put them off. You can lower all hands at the same time as well. So yeah, a great little feature. All you look at the people or participants, depending on which version of Teams you're on, and as it comes out on the right hand side there, as you can see on the little GIF that Lauren's added in, you can see the order in which those hands are raised. All right, so that's our first little cool feature. The meeting recordings. So meeting recorders are getting better now. They're able to, I guess, set whether you can record the transcripts or whether you can play them back at different speeds as well. So if you go and watch or listen to a recording, depending on what you're doing, you can play it back, like on WhatsApp. You can play it back at a certain speed. You can do that. They're also auto saved into OneDrive and SharePoint as well now. So you can come out of the meeting. Sometimes I hide myself from the meeting chat itself because it clogs up my Teams window. You can hide that, but you can go back into OneDrive and SharePoint and go and find that recording as well. We use the recording at iCoTech for all our board meetings and all our SLTs, etc., and project boards. It's a really great way of recording the meeting without taking zillions and zillions of notes in Word. So transcripts. So as I said, transcripts are now kind of a key part of Teams Live, and you can also use transcripts also in Word as well. Although I have to admit I haven't used it myself, but you can put the transcript on your laptop in Teams, but just as a side one, you can also do it in Word. So you can leave a laptop in the corner of the room, and it will just record, type out what you're talking about or what your team are talking about, which is a really cool feature as well. All right, so index recordings, as it says there, is easier to consume the segments based on the slide transitions. So when you go right to the slide or slide 2, it indexes on the recording, so you can, if you want to kind of fast forward to slide 20, you can get there quite quickly. And if you've got a certain meeting, like a board meeting, for example, which you want to be auto recorded, or a webinar, you can set that so that meeting owners can set whether it's an automatically start recording. I would say though, that recording is still an interesting one in society. I think in technology, people sometimes don't like being recorded. So I would say that if you're going to use auto recording, I would say that make sure people are aware, as it does tell you, but before they jump onto the meeting as well. Yeah, so coming soon, admins will be able to set the default number of days after which newly created team recordings will be sent to the recycling bin. So that's all about kind of data protection, and you can almost turn that off, so or change the days in which, as it says, you can send a recording into the recycling bin. So if you don't know, if you're on a Teams meeting, when you leave the Teams meeting, the Teams kind of recording link sits in the chat of the team meeting that you were on. Hope I got that right. And so it sits there. It just kind of sits there forever, really, because it is stored in OneNote and SharePoint. Even if you exit the meeting itself, it's still there. And even if everybody exits it, it's still there. So you've really got to work out, if you're doing lots of video or meeting recordings, whether you want that to delete after 7 days or a year or whatever it might be. Cool. Operator Connect conferencing. So this is kind of readily available now. You've got BT, T-Mobile, depending on where you are in the world, Orange, obviously. So you can do your bridge conferencing. So if you've got a standard kind of audio conferencing system, you can connect now in the admin panel in Teams to Teams meetings. So you can have a certain set of people on Teams in an environment, but also bridging out to a set of people on the phone, for example. Obviously, there's no kind of video in that. Depending on which service you use, of course. The idea being that you could connect to a wide range of people on different platforms. The level of interoperability between the likes of BT and other kind of telephony platforms is massive. I have to admit, I went onto our admin panel yesterday or the day before yesterday, just having a browse and trying to just play with some routing, and massive amount of integration has changed over the last couple of weeks. You can build into services. It's incredible. So if you're kind of interested in Teams and its capability with existing telephony systems, you don't have to effectively migrate from one huge telephony system in your organization to Teams. You could integrate and you could connect the two together. There's a lot more options available for you there now in its current state, which is really cool. So image descriptions in Teams chats. So you can make your Teams messages more accessible to people with disabilities by adding alternative text and images. I haven't used this one particularly, but it enables people who use screen readers to understand the full content of your message, even if they can't see the image, which is really important, of course. So that's a good little feature to use if you need to use that. So yeah, and that's part of the kind of building the content, making sure the content's fit for the audience you're talking to, and making sure you're kind of considering everybody in the audience of your meetings as well. So meeting room capacity notifications. So this is, I guess, when you have Teams set up to throttle the users that are on the service. So you can, if you got for example, you're in a room with potentially bad Wi-Fi coverage, you can throttle the amount of people that can join that room, and also you can count the people and identify how many are actually in the room. Hopefully that's not on purpose. So just going to deny that one. So yeah, so you can do that here, and you can decide how many people are able to come into the room, and it gives you a banner about over capacity as well. There's a couple of reasons why you might want to do that. You might want to do that for sensitivity and security. So you might want to say, actually, I don't want to have more than 5 people in this meeting, and you can set that up in the admin panel. And that's maybe if you've got a confidential meeting or something like that. You can say, look, actually, I only want the 4 people. I don't want somebody else from my organization to click on my diary and join this meeting, even though they're not really invited, which can happen depending on your settings. But of course, it's also for bandwidth and performance, etc. So that's a good little feature, especially for IT admins, and when you're trying to roll out Teams to a large audience or user base. Split video layout. So we could do multiple screens now. So if you're lucky enough to have a big conference room with massive 75-inch TVs, and maybe you got 2 of them, because lots of organizations that I work with, go into an organization with huge TVs on the screen, 2 of them side by side. You could split the conference now across the displays. If you're not using Teams conferences, a little bit of a recommendation. The Logitech technology is really good. and a bit of a random one, but the HP Elite Slice. It's called the HP Elite Slice. If you just want a Teams meeting room and you want to have that immersive meeting experience, but you don't want to go spend thousands of pounds on a Polycom system or something like that, there's plenty of other systems available, of course. Teams meeting rooms are very expensive. Go back. There we go. Get carried away on my keyboard here. So yeah, a HP Elite Slice. We've got one in iCoHub, and it's really, really good. You could do this dual screen layout, and you can obviously, as it says here now, share the space of the screen rather than having, say, 50 people join your conference all as little tiny blocks on one screen. You can also do on that HP Elite Slice, you need that kind of service to do this though. So you've got a HP Elite Slice type of service plugged into 2 monitors or 2 big screens or TVs with your Logitech camera and speaker and microphone. Works really, really well. And you can on the settings, you can split those video layouts to have content on one screen, kind of people on the other screen, or a mixture of both here as well. So you can see that kind of white line in the middle is meant to show 2 TVs basically. It's more about creating an immersive, collaboration environment. All right, it's more inclusive and engaging for participants as well, particularly the ones in the room that this TV is obviously being utilised in. Hot desking. Right, so hot desking on Microsoft Teams displays now allows employees to quickly locate and reserve flexible workspaces. All right, so you can touch down, you can make calls, set up ad hoc meetings, sign in to access their personalized Teams experiences. So the hot desking is a service that you can. So these are Teams displays as well. Sorry, I should have pointed that out. You can buy, they're almost like tablets now that go on a desk. So you can actually go to a desk or workout area without having a meetup kind of facility or a HP Elite Slice. And you can just, on a hot desk, just click reserve on Teams. I'm going to reserve this desk for 3 hours or 2 hours. And it's the touchdown. That's what they mean by that, is you're able to kind of land on a desk and collaborate quite quickly. Some of the ones now you can even sign into those tablets, so it's like your laptop with your screens with a Microsoft Team display, a desk Team display on the left hand side. Lenovo do them. I think HP may do. I think Lenovo definitely do them. But it's almost like a Teams device is linked directly to the physical desk itself, the hot desk. So when you don't take the device with you when you leave, your desk has one of these devices with it, which is really cool. And yeah, gonna get much more functionality in this space as well. I'm pretty sure on what I've seen as well, the phone, the headset is connected to it, so it's almost like it becomes a desk phone if you're a call center operative. But if you're a manager, then your phone will keep with your laptop, for example. All right, so yeah, that's a cool little feature. Hot desking, collaborative workspaces in any environment is rapidly changing, as we know, and making them as flexible and ad hoc as possible is really, really, really important. The other side one on this, just because this screen reminds me of a Teams meeting room display. So when you walk into a meeting room, as I talked about earlier, you have normally like a tablet on the screen, on the table, and you'll normally say join this meeting or join this conference or present this content. Cortana is now available on those, like the Microsoft version of Siri, if you're an Apple person. So you can touch that Cortana now, and you can speak to Cortana, or you can send voice commands to that as well. So the other day I was playing with I was pressing Cortana or saying Cortana, ring Craig or ring Richard, and it was adding them into the meeting, kind of without really using too much touch on the display itself. So lots of great stuff in this space, and yeah, lots of new features to play with. Breakout rooms. So hopefully we've used breakout rooms, even not just to test it and just to play around with it. We certainly have. We've kind of taken our sessions with our customers and just with a few stakeholders that we work with here at iCoTech and move them across different breakout rooms. So organizers can extend the management of breakout rooms to presenters now. Appointed presenters will be able to perform breakout room operations as managers or meeting organizations and organizers, and join rooms as breakout room manager. It's just a way of saying, I think, in a simple form, like Richard, you own that breakout room. Craig, you own that breakout room. I'll own this breakout room. So you're able to assign managers to those breakout rooms and just get more control over what happens in that breakout room, which is really cool. Yeah. All right, cameras. So switching cameras. This is one that I've seen. I thought, why would you want to switch a camera? So I can't come up with any. Like, I've never wanted to switch my camera on Teams. I think sometimes I've had more frustrations with cameras, but hey, it's there if you want to use it. Although the light bulb's just gone off, and I guess if it's a content camera, you might want to switch the camera to a content camera that's facing a whiteboard, for example. But I can't imagine having two cameras on two big TVs in the meeting room and trying to switch between the two. But hey, during Teams meetings, you can, with more than one camera attached in the space, people can switch. People in the room can switch between cameras, all right, by choosing from the list that are available. So yeah, if the device does not have multiple USB cameras set up with Teams rooms devices in the conference rooms, there will be no difference in the experience. So, like, I'm really struggling when I was looking at this and researching this. It's like, why would you need more than one camera? But if one from the front of the room, one from the back of the room, I don't know. But there is a content camera which is slightly different, which is another feature which we like, and I've actually got on order. A camera that goes on the top of the whiteboard as well. I think it's a Logitech. I can't remember the name for that. But if you're interested in using a whiteboard with a camera, so the camera kind of comes off the top of the whiteboard and it will look down at the whiteboard, and when you draw on a physical whiteboard, it'll mimic that drawing in Teams, which is really, really cool. One day, hopefully we'll get it to auto create back onto the whiteboard as well. But that's another technology advancement, I guess, from Microsoft. But yeah, if you do have two cameras and you want to switch between the two, you can do. Transcripts for one-to-one calls. Transcripts of these calls on Teams is now available, so it can be enabled via the control bar within the call window. So if you've got a call with an individual, I always see one-to-one as a formal meeting, but I think it just means a one person to another person, of course. So one-to-one meeting, you can record that now and get the transcripts. I kind of praised it earlier for its ability to write down exactly what you're talking about. It's one of those things that sometimes you don't want everything to be written down, and sometimes it's balancing when it's good to use that. I definitely wouldn't use this in an actual one-to-one as a hiring manager or a line manager. So I don't think it's meant for that. I think it's meant for the one person to another person transcript of the conversation. So yeah, it's a great little feature, used appropriately, of course, and just I think it literally. It was weird when I was doing it in a meeting room a couple of months ago when I was playing around with it on Word. It was bizarre because it was just every single word, even when I said it was writing down. I would say quite a lot, so it was full of ums. So it's a bit of a nuance, I guess. I think, but something that's definitely a technological advancement and can be used to do great things in the future, which is brilliant. So front row layout. So hopefully we all playing with our layouts and bringing the content forward or removing the content altogether and spotlighting individuals in certain calls as well. But with front row, remote attendees are seen in the room at eye level. So again, it's particularly good if you've got like big screens on the wall. You want them to be kind of front and center. So, and additional meeting experiences include chat and a rostering view of participants with their raised hands are brought forward to the front of the room screen. So yeah, very much when you're doing a collaboration session with 50 people, someone raises their hand. It's no longer, I think it used to be at the top, it used to be like someone has raised their hand, and if that person was off the screen, it was kind of, oh, well, they're off the screen. Now, obviously, it brings them forward. Front row preview will be available in the layout user experience on Teams Rooms console. So I think this screen is a console like a 75-inch conference room screen, and therefore I talked earlier about having that HP Elite Slice conferencing system you need in order to run this. But when you set up your conference room call, it's like a square box with different windows in it. You can click that and you can change the layout of the Teams conference on the screen. And it's great to see now that they've brought chat into that actual visible chat on the right hand side. You can see it on that image. You can see who's commenting on what and talking through the conversation, whereas before the chat would just pop up as a chat and you'd have to look at your laptop, for example, to go and find the meeting chat. Much better now. Yeah, we can also set default layouts if you're an admin, and turn them off altogether. But yeah, front row layout is cool, and I think it really works when you've got a big screen. It doesn't kind of work as well if you've got like a 27-inch monitor, for example, in my opinion. My favorite one, walkie-talkie app. Creative name from Microsoft, walkie-talkie. But yeah, so this is, as it says on the tin, really, and it's our final cool latest feature before we move on to some other ones later on. But this is about walking around a manufacturing site, a premises. You know, it's replacing the old clunky walkie-talkies. So you come into work in the morning, you can actually join a channel. So you can connect to a channel rather than clicking on your VHF radio, like channel 16 or that if you're Marine, and channel 18 or channel 1, whatever it is. So it's about connecting to a channel over the internet, push to talk. You know, your push to talk, you're communicating with the device. You're saying, hello, you know, has anybody got you know, the bread on aisle 5, or bad analogy, but you know, and then as soon as you let go, by the time you let go, that's already been sent to every other individual on that channel using Microsoft Teams. Right? So that's a real kind of game changer. You can use iPhones, Samsungs, whatever the hell you want to use. As long as you're on Teams, you've got the walkie-talkie app enabled. As long as you're on the bakery channel or the general channel, you will hear. I think you can join 2 channels as well. And on the bottom right hand side of that image there with the red circle around it, it's showing you've got 2 people on this channel. So as people join that channel, you've got 6 or 7 people then join it. You can see who's on your channel for your walkie-talkie. Great for remote working, lone working, safety, all that kind of good stuff. Rather than having other technology on you as well as your phone. Everybody carries their phone. Even in work. Great little piece of technology that is. So yeah, cool. So these are some other of our favorite features. So those are the latest ones that have come out most recently. And these are just our kind of summarization of our latest features. I guess this is what we really love, is the integration with Microsoft 365. So as I said at the top of the call, if you're used to PowerPoint, for example, present it in Teams. You'll see in PowerPoint on the top right side, present in Teams. Gives you much more integration. We had our board meeting today. We were presenting in Teams and we were able to collaborate and to kind of annotate the slides. And Richard was able to take control and go through the next set of slides in the board meeting. And I was able to kind of navigate my way around my slides at my own pace. Really, really good. And I think that's the major piece, I guess, differentiator if you're a Microsoft house or using or trying to decide whether to use Team or Zoom across your organization, although you probably already decided that. Whoa, this is not working. My keyboard is battery running out, I think. So live captions, this is really cool. So you can now view live captions coming from cart provider within Microsoft Teams. So you can go in here, as it says, as the GIF is showing you. Live captions, it's just a great way of building interaction in your meetings at the same time as trying to keep things as dynamic as possible. All right. Live reactions, we all love a live reaction, right? Looking forward to the day there's lots more kind of examples. I want like fireworks and stuff going off at some point, but or kind of great little more and more interactions will come from Teams in the future. And I think just having 4 or 5 at the moment, we want some more, don't we? Even some custom ones as well. It'd be cool. I'd love to see a dancing penguin. I know Laura would love a dancing penguin. just walking across the screen. We'll get there one day, I'm sure. And then Apple CarPlay, again, I love my Apple products. I know my phone and my watch are all Apple, but the integration with Apple CarPlay and Teams is great. I guess you've got to be careful when you're using it if you're hands-free. safe and legal to use these things. We try and say, look, if you're in the car, don't make a phone call. But of course, sometimes a phone call might come in that's urgent from a friend or family member. Like that's when this stuff is really good. Just or somebody's ringing you from a Teams meeting that really needs you. I probably wouldn't advise using marketing or using Apple CarPlay to have your marketing meeting at 9 o'clock going down the M4. Probably not the safest thing to do, but we're kind of all there now these days, aren't we? Cool. Presenter mode. I should be doing it today actually, but I don't really want to scar you with my face in front of the screen for 45 minutes. But yeah, as it says here on this GIF, you can take this this individual and put them in front of the slide deck to make it more interactive if you wanted to. Although I do find you have to design your slides to meet that requirement, because often you find yourself in front of your own words. So you find yourself waving and talking and interacting in front of the font or text behind you. So I often find myself moving out of the way. Cool nonetheless. Presenter mode is really good. And if you haven't used it, it's a good little experience. If people in your organization are not used to using it, it's good to break it up. Sometimes I get a lot of people going, "Ooh, we're in front of the slides, cool." It just creates that little comedy factor, I guess, and a bit of a lightheartedness to the meeting, which is really good. Future developments in Teams, so Power Automate actions. So we could do kind of new things now with Power Automate, which is the workflow engine. So we can get it to create new Teams meetings based on a series of other controls or inputs. We can also post messages to the channel. So in our desk booking app at iCoTech, for example, if you don't select you've arrived at your desk by 10:30, it chucks a message into Teams channel to say, dude, you haven't confirmed you're in iCoHub today. Make sure you do this within half an hour, otherwise it's going off to your line manager type thing. Video filters. So before joining the meeting, you'll be able to smooth facial features and adjust lighting. Cool. I look forward to that one. Hopefully it'll be a good transition for me. And I guess local time added to profiles as well. It's a really good one for us. We work with lots of people across the world. We're joining people, and it's kind of customary. It's not the right word for me. I'll always say, well, "How are you? What are you doing this morning, this afternoon?" Or just trying to learn a bit more about this individual, where they are in the world. And I guess if I know it's 6 a.m. in the morning, I won't say, "How's your day going?" Because if I know it's 6 a.m. for them, and they're up early because we're in different time zones, that's a good little way of annoying someone. My day's only just started at 6 a.m. to get up for this meeting. So having an idea of the local time for that profile, that individual, will be fantastic. So yeah, some cool little features there. So I have spent 34 minutes telling you about all the latest features in Teams. I really hope you found it useful. This is a short, sharp and sweet one for us. It's literally just the latest features, our favorite features in Microsoft Teams. I'm really hopeful that you've learned something new today. Somebody, or hopefully most of you, has gone away thinking, "I didn't know that existed. I'm going to go and reuse that tomorrow in my business, in my organization, in my project or my team." We find hopefully that's the case and it's added some value. If you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the meeting chat. If you want any questions around Teams itself, put them in there. Otherwise, you can email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk. We have a number of other webinars over the next couple of weeks, so they're on the screen now. So we've got the integration between Teams and Power Apps. So that's really good to see that the integration is building between those two services now. And obviously being a Power Apps partner, we are doing another event on how the Power Platform can benefit your business. So if you haven't heard of the Power Platform before, jump on our website. You can register online at iCoTechservices.co.uk. You could jump on there, register for these events, and it'll come into your diary through the power of Power Automate, which is cool. If you're a project practitioner in the project space, then Project for the Web workshop is also happening on the 6th of April at 4 o'clock UK time as well. All right. Lots of other events coming from iCoTech in the next couple of weeks. Thank you to everybody of those who have joined. As I said, email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk if you've got any questions. Believe it or not, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. You can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Really appreciate if you could pop over there and have a look. There's lots of other content around the Microsoft ecosystem on that channel. And and we've got 250 subscribers now, which is really cool and growing. If you've got a question, just feel free to give us a call, and Alison is on front of house most of the time. She'll answer and divert you to the right person to answer your question. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this session. Hopefully you find it useful, and we look forward to seeing you on the next session. That's it from me. Thanks for your time today, and have a great evening. Cheers, everybody.